Hello everyone, and thanks for watching this quick tutorial video on how to set up Maestro AI Task Ecosystem. You'll find our Maestro module on the Drupal.org Maestro project page. Link is in the description. Let me give you some background information about the Maestro AI Task. We have a preliminary documentation page on Drupal.org that talks about what the Maestro AI Task is and does. The purpose of the Maestro AI Task is to use AI in your business process automation workflows. AI can be used to offload tasks from individuals, thereby allowing people to focus on important work rather than the mundane. We have a follow-up video giving a real-world scenario where Maestro and AI combine to offload expense receipt checking from humans. Links for that in the description as well. But first, setup and how to get started with Maestro and AI. The Maestro AI task depends on the AI module, and in turn, the AI module depends on the key module. Those two modules will have to be installed prior to installing the Maestro AI task. In order to use AI on Drupal, in general, you'll need to set up authentication to your AI service provider of choice and configure the AI module's providers. Shown here is the configuration I have for my authentication keys using the key module. I've configured OpenAI authentication. I use this setup in the AI module to configure the providers. Here's a look at my AI providers in the AI module. You can set up your AI providers as you see fit. Please refer to the AI module's documentation on how to set up the module. Let's take a quick look at my settings. Configuration, AI, default settings. Here's the default provider settings for the AI module. As you see here, I've got chat, text to image, and chat with image vision set up as my providers. We'll discuss how these things interface with the Maestro AI task. Let's take a look at the modules I have for Maestro. I'm showing the core Maestro modules here. I've installed all of them as they're very useful for workflow automation in general. You'll notice that there's a section called Maestro Experimental. Here you'll find the Maestro AI task and the Maestro AI Vision example. You may find that you're not able to install the Maestro AI Task Vision example module, as you must configure your AI module's chat with image vision default provider prior to being able to use the example. This is up to you to configure and make sure that the provider and model you've chosen support chat with image vision. In my case, I'm using OpenAI's GPT-4o model. Once the Maestro AI task module is installed, the task becomes available to the Maestro template builder. But first, there's some base settings we should look at. Shown here are the base settings for the Maestro AI task module. The base prompt. This is the default prompt that will be automatically filled in to each of the Maestro AI tasks prompts. You can override the base prompt from within the Maestro AI task configuration, so don't worry about being locked into anything here. Test mode. This is a global option to turn on or off AI testing. What this does is intercepts all AI calls being made by Maestro, not Drupal or any other AI module, just Maestro. The Maestro AI task will receive the return data that's shown in the AI testing response. This is a great way to stop all outgoing AI calls in Maestro, and also a great way to prototype your workflows. Now let's take a look at the template builder. What you see here is the base Maestro installation, simple parallel to serial flow, that's installed by Maestro by default. Also in here is Maestro AI expense receipt checking example. We'll demonstrate that workflow in another upcoming video. For now, I've created a Maestro AI task example. Let's edit it. So here's a simple flow, just with a start and end. What's new here is down at the bottom. We have legend and we have the Maestro AI task, which will show up with a light blue box. And up here in the add tasks, you'll now see that there's an AI task option. Let's add it. And here it is. Let's wire this into our workflow. There. We must configure this task. Here's the Maestro AI Task Edit screen. This is where you'll configure how you want the AI task to operate within your workflow. Refer to our documentation page about how to use Maestro and get a more in-depth explanation of what some of these terms mean. But let's go through the settings. The first option is participate in the setting of workflow stage and status message. Look at our documentation on Drupal.org for how this section works. This setting is core to all of the Maestro task types. Next option is hold this task open if the AI response is null. The response from the AI LLM may encounter a problem, or you've coded a solution that purposefully returns a null from the AI call. When checked, if the return from the AI call is null, the task will not be completed. That means the next time the orchestrator or the Maestro engine runs, this task will be executed again, and again, and again until such time that the return is not null. Use this at your own risk. Please read the description that you may incur extra AI provider costs by doing so. The next option, log the response from AI. This option will dump the response from the Drupal into the Drupal recent log messages or watchdog log. You can also use the AI logging submodule to turn on logging of all AI calls in your system. Let's take a quick look. Here's an example of one. If you've not enabled the AI log submodule or need to troubleshoot what's happening, this option here could be very helpful. Now here's where things get interesting. The configured AI providers available. This is where Maestro and AI module align with each other. Remember the AI module default provider settings? Right here. Here's my chat, here's my text to image, and here's my chat provider. We configured the default providers on my system, as I said, for chat, text to image, and chat with image vision. Going back to this edit screen here, we see that I have 4 options: chat, text to image, returning base64, text to image, returning a physical file in URL, and finally, chat with image vision. We are able to provide different Maestro AI task plugins that can talk to the AI module's providers in unique ways to suit just about any AI operation. So we have a Maestro AI task plugin, which is called a Maestro AI task capability. For chatbot, one for managing text to image, returning base64, another plugin that returns text to image, returning a physical file in URL, and another one that does image vision. As the ecosystem matures, so too will the out-of-the-box available Maestro AI task capabilities. In the meantime, though, developers can write their own unique instances of these plugins, which in turn talk to configured AI module providers. Each Maestro AI capability has its own set of fields or configurations. For example, here's the chatbots. Here's text to image with URLs. Here's chat with image vision. Let's just go back to chatbot. We'll cover these settings in more detail in documentation and in our upcoming videos. But for this example, I'm just going to stick with chatbot. We'll see that the chatbot can be configured to return a pre-configured output or be configured to have a custom output type. This matters when we deal with the return data later on in the task editing options down here. If we wish to let the return from the AI call be processed in the task, the return result from AI must be in the format of yes or no or true or false. More on this when we look at how the return data processing options work. However, you cannot use the process in task option down here when using a custom return format. For this example, we'll just stick with true or false output. Here's where things start to get powerful. The prompt. This is what we ask the AI chatbot to do for us. In this example, we'll just ask it, the sky is red. Because we've configured the return format to true or false as a JSON string, we can process in the task without any other fancy storage and or manual processing tasks. Here's where things get even more powerful. We have a full complement of tokens. You can use these tokens inside of your prompt. Maestro tokens, such as rendered entities from entity identifiers, means you can let AI read or decipher what's been posted to a web form, a piece of content, or an entity that you've attached to the workflow. Likewise, you can use process variable tokens to post information about the workflow processing that makes the prompt completely dynamic. Keep in mind, every time this task executes, a different user may have initiated this process, thereby all of the content, the user, the scenario, the situation, the amount of times it's been looped could be completely unique. Test mode option. I showed you the global setting for this. However, this is where you can turn the test mode on or off on a task-by-task basis. It will be up to you to configure the return formatted data, but this is a great way to prototype your system without incurring AI service costs. Let's just turn this off. Return the data into a process variable, AI storage entity, or process directly in this task. This option allows you to store or process the task as you see fit, dependent upon what type of data you're fetching from your AI LLM, of course. For our example, since we're returning a true-false response as configured above, we can process the return data in the task. The Maestro AI task understands how to process true, false, yes or no responses when the return format is configured to do so. Please note that the return format is only available for those Maestro AI capabilities that can support it. If you're returning an image, it doesn't make sense that it is true or false. But if you need to, you could write your own Maestro AI task capability plugin that would return a true, false, or yes or no when an image was created or not. We have the option to set a process variable, such as choose your variable. And the last option is to set an AI storage entity. Up to 16 megs can be stored in the entity in the database. This is useful for things like large pieces of content, base64 encoded images, or anything that is large in size that you wish to use for processing later. The Maestro AI task will create instances of the storage entity on the fly and associate it with the storage entity label you give it. We'll give examples of this more later in our example workflows. Let's give our simple workflow a validation and test run. Change this back to process in task, and we'll save the task. Make sure that there's no errors, and we'll give this a validity check, and it has passed. We'll go to the template builder, and we'll see that our Maestro AI task is available to start. We'll go to all active tasks, which is out-of-the-box functionality available for Maestro, and we see that our process has started. We're going to trace this process. And as we see here, the start task has already been completed. Let's just take a quick look at it. Start task has been successfully completed, and now we're waiting on the AI task. Once we run the orchestrator from here, the AI task will execute. Okay, it's been compressed to this page and see what's happened. Our AI task status is not successfully completed, it's actually canceled. And this is a good thing, because when we look at this workflow, and when we look at our AI prompt, we asked it, is the sky red? Well, of course it's not. AI will respond as no, it's not. But we forced it to be a true or false response. And since we can process this in the task, the Maestro AI task is smart enough to know that, hey, this AI task has been canceled. That's Maestro speak for false, not true, has not been completed successfully. And now we're waiting to end this process. We can actually go further and look at this processing of this and add, say, an if. And this if task, when configured, can do things like check the last task status and has it been canceled. And if it has been canceled, we can do things like loop to things, such as draw a line here and then draw a line here. And so now if it has been canceled or not been canceled, we can end. And if it has been canceled, we can do other things or loop back or do whatever we need to do in this. And this is where the power of Maestro comes in, to allow you to create very complex business process automation workflows. If you like this video, please like and subscribe as more videos will appear shortly. Thanks.